everybody, and welcome to the Starseeds and Lightworkers Collective here on Quantum Portals. My name is Crystal, and I am so happy you're here tonight. We have an amazing show. We have our returning gem of a guest, Miss Angela Levasseur. She is absolutely a treasure. She is a Reiki healer. She does light language and does a lot of healing, and she's done so much with what she did, and she knows so much, and we are so lucky to have her here tonight. And in particular, tonight we are going to be talking about light language, but also about light codes. This is going to be a beginner course. I know that we've talked about light language, and to be honest, a lot of people talk about light language, but they don't really give you as much background, and they don't really make it easy for people to clearly understand. And I know that tonight Angela is going to really hold our hand and help us through that. So we're going to be learning a lot about the light codes, which is something that a lot of people don't really touch upon. They talk about the language, but not so much about the codes. And I know that I will be learning a lot tonight. So I'm really excited to have Angela here with us. Angela, how are you doing tonight?
I am fantastic, Crystal. Thank you so much for the invite, and I am very thrilled to be able to present on this topic because it is something that's very dear to my heart, and it is something that has become more and more prominent, especially over the last several months. And interestingly enough, as we were chatting just early on a couple of minutes ago, I was getting a channeled light message coming through. So I'm sure more of that will come through, and when it's time, I will give that to the audience, and I'll explain as we go through a little bit more about how that could impact people as well, for those who are not familiar with it.
That's great. And so you have so much to offer us, and you've been here many times, and I just love having you here. For those of us that are joining for the first time and may not know enough about you, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So my gift started when I was about 7 years old. I realized that I was intuitive to the point where I was able to pick up ghostly beings. My stepfather passed away when I was very young, and he was the very first time that I happened to realize I had a gift. Those gifts became much more prominent as I became older. And within the last, I'd say, 5 years, I started to realize that I am intuitive. I read tarot decks. In the last couple of years, I have started channeling, whereby I will literally get messages or be able to contact different realms. And when I say realms, I'm not talking about just those that may have passed. I can also contact Fey realms, cryptid realms, galactic realms, and I've spoken with many galactics, but I have also become quite telepathic, and this has only occurred within the last 6 months, now to the point where almost immediately I will get confirmation goosebumps if somebody happens to mention something, and literally that's only happened very, very recently, so it's another gift that has come in. There might be a conversation, and because when your mind is open with telepathy, you are an open channel. So if they happen to hear me, they literally pop in and they give their answers. So if anything comes through tonight, interesting. They're saying they're quite happy that we are doing all of this and that we are helping to grow the collective and to enlighten everyone. I don't have any specific names of who that is that's coming in, but it's definitely always benevolent and always through total love. I also do clearings. I do energetic clearings. In fact, earlier today, I was talking to a good friend of mine and mentioning to her that she needed to be cleared. She's never been cleared before. So I do cord cuttings. As I said, tarot readings. I have many different things that I'm capable of doing.
I know.
And I'm extremely empathic. So it's one of those things that chances are, if I think about it, I probably have done it. And I do channel light language. I do channel colors and light codes. I work with crystals very much so. And I do work with symbols as well. As you mentioned, I'm also a Reiki. I'm not a Reiki master yet. However, I can do distance Reiki as well. And many people find that very hard to believe, but we are energy beings all in all. Exactly. So when you realize how energy can travel and that it travels light years very often, That's how it can travel back and forth. We are all light. And I can also sometimes pick up auras. And it's interesting because on this screen, I don't know if people can see it, but I can see it on you. I can actually see part of your aura.
Oh,
as I'm watching.
Oh, good.
So this is something that is, as I said, there's always new gifts coming in, but I am very, very pleased to be here. And I'm pleased to be a part of the collective and a part of one of the teachers. I've been told many times that I've lived many, many lives. And that is one of the reasons that I am here to teach and to help people and to guide.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy to do that.
Thank you so much. And you are one of the teachers. You were the founding teachers here at the group. And I am so happy to have you here because you have so much love and you have so much information to share. And I mean, you have so much, like I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to mess this up at the beginning because you have so much. I'm like, I have to count them all. But it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm so happy that you're here. And it's interesting because I think that right now, a lot of people are starting to wake up. A lot of people are starting to be charged, but there are a lot of people who are going to be the pillars, who are going to be the leaders. Well, not leaders. I don't like that word leader, but you know what I mean? People that are going to be guiding others. And I feel that you are definitely one of those people that are going to be guiding others through love and through compassion and empathy for other people. So I definitely see you as one of those people. And I'm so glad that you're here with us.
Thank you. Yes, we are the path makers. We are the ones who have gone through a lot of the groundwork already. And we've had a lot of the challenges. So I can absolutely say, yes, I know that I am one of those path makers. And essentially, we are here to help guide and steer people into the right direction. And it totally is my pleasure to be able to do that. It's not an easy path. Everybody seems to think that, oh, when you awaken, it's all roses and flowers and unicorns. And it's not. It takes a lot from you. It takes a lot of self-introspection. It takes relearning a lot of all of the past things that we have been taught and programmed as we are children and growing up, and unlearning everything and literally relearning a totally new way of living.
Absolutely. Especially now with everything that's been happening. And, you know, it's, and I'm glad you mentioned that about how it's not always roses and unicorns. I mean, sure, the unicorns are sort of galloping by, but like, I mean, and again, a lot of people who've been on the show, a lot of people, if you've been watching and tuning into some of the episodes, you will know that some of the most gifted light workers, starseeds, have been through hell. They've been through hell and hell in a handbasket. And everybody who has come on the show who talks about their past will talk about some of the most difficult things. So it's not rainbows and unicorns, unfortunately. That's more of a Hollywood standard. But moving forward, though, I feel that especially now people are seeing what kind of crazy is happening. The planet is on fire. What's happening? But this is all happening. And that's a part of that. You know, it's a part of that. It's not rainbows and unicorns. You know, it would have been nice to have been like 1968, you know, the Hair musical with, you know, Age of Aquarius.
Yes.
No. So it's...
well, parts would like to be like that. But we have to go through all of this stuff first. You have to go down to the valleys in order to get to the peaks.
Exactly, into the mountains.
And they always remind me of that.
Exactly. Well, you know, they're starting to remind everybody of that, you know, let me tell you. So tonight, like I was saying, we are going to be looking at, yes, we're going to be touching upon light language, and I think we'll be starting there, but at the same time, we're going to be talking about light codes and different aspects of that. So I'm really looking forward to that. We already have a funny comment from one of our viewers here, Summer Starkey. She says, my third eye headache needs clearing. So maybe we can do a clearing.
Your third eye headache actually is there because you are currently, and I'm well versed in this, because you're integrating energy into your body. Yeah. And that is one of the symptoms of it when you are integrating the energy, because there's a disbalance between what you have within you and what you are trying to clear out. Once it happens to balance out, your headache will dissipate.
Oh, okay.
But there
Great.
has been a lot, and this is part of what we'll be going into with the
Yeah.
presentation,
Mm-hmm.
because of the incoming solar flares, because a lot of the incoming energy
Mm-hmm.
that people don't realize are light codes is changing our DNA structure at
Mm-hmm.
this point in time
Mm-hmm.
and upgrading us. Many of us have a different, when we have a lower vibration, the outside high vibration has to literally start matching us. So it'll just kind of hang around us until such time as our vibration is high enough to be able to accept it and integrate. That's
Okay.
why you get your headaches. But that is also why if you start to cough a lot, you may have a throat chakra imbalance. If you get the headaches on the top of your head, crown chakra, obviously, anybody who follows the Schumann resonance,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a huge follower of it
Yeah.
because I've realized how much it actually affects me. And those same chakras that are affected by the Schumann. So when you see the big white energy that comes in, when it's more so at the top of the Schumann, those are affecting your top chakras. So your crown chakra, your third eye chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra. Once they start going down into the lower chakras, you can sometimes get heartburn, you can get aches in your shoulders, you can have stomach upsets. And then when you start to get into the lower GI area, a lot of times it can be your solar plexus, sacral, and your root chakra.
Mm-hmm.
That can also manifest as other pains in your legs. Very similarly, when you're integrating light language and you are integrating light symbols and just the light codes in themselves, because your chakras and because your body is not used to that, you can have very, very similar symptoms manifest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great comment because it actually segues
Yeah.
completely into what it is that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And another good comment that I like is here from Bruce Cornett. And he says, "Thank you, Crystal, for having an angel on your show." Yes, you are such an angel.
Well, believe it or
Angela
not,
is an
I am
angel.
also I am literally, and I found this out many years ago, I am an earth angel. I
Oh,
was always called, my grandmother always called me angel. And I did find out, and I don't know if people know anything about earth angels, that could be an actual show on itself.
yeah, for
But
sure.
there are such things as earth angels. Normally, we go through a number of very trying circumstances, and there are certain characteristics that they carry. So I can honestly say, yes, I am an earth angel, and I
Oh,
do know that.
perfect.
So yet another thing that's within my list.
Perfect. Thank you, Bruce, for pointing that out. And thank you, Angela.
Hi, Bruce. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
you again.
So we have a lot to cover, but before we do, and I know that, we talked about this about a show or so ago, and people were saying, because we're talking about, the Schumann resonance, and we're going to be talking about solar flares and all
Absolutely.
that. And I mean, we have a lot of other stuff to talk about, but I wanted to just bring this up because it's something that people are recognizing, and people brought it up, I think the last show or the show before. And people are saying, how is it that the sun is so white and so bright and it's just intense and the sun is changing, and it's funny
Yes,
because
the
I know
sun
that
is
somebody
changing.
mentioned that last time, and I was walking
Absolutely.
around and I looked and I was like, well, it's true, like the sun is, and I've never had problems with my eyes. I've never had to wear sunglasses. Like my whole life I've never had to wear sunglasses. And I mean, look, okay, yes, we're all getting a little bit more mature. Maybe our bodies are changing, but I said this is weird how the light is so intense. Like it's just like it's beating me in the
Yes.
face. And I said, no, there has to be something here. Did you want to just sort of comment on that? Because I mean, that has to. I'm sorry, that has to sort of be something because it's just way too bright and way too white and it's out of control.
Okay, this is actually a very controversial area.
Okay.
And I will preface my comment before with that.
Okay.
Because there are beliefs, and I am not siding on either way, that the original sun that we had back 50 years ago, 30 years ago, has actually been blocked by artificial means.
Okay.
And this is actually a theory that I've seen out there more than a few times. It is not the same sun that we see now, and that we are actually receiving artificial sun. Part of the theory behind that is because as light beings, many eons ago, our DNA structure was altered.
Okay.
It was not altered by human hands. It was altered by extraterrestrial hands who were trying to keep us from knowing all of
Absolutely.
the different things that we
Yeah.
actually have in all of our capabilities. So in order for our DNA strands not to, for us, okay, so for example, intuition, for us to know, to understand, to be aware, we've been kept down. Now, this is a theory.
Yes.
Some people believe it, some people don't. And to me, either way, it's up to you. But it needs to be presented, and I'm glad that you
Absolutely.
brought it up,
No. I know we
because
are. It's been on the
the
show. Yeah.
actual light codes that we receive from the sun awaken our latent DNA. And the additional strands that have been hidden are now being awakened by the light chains and light codes that are coming in. So the whole idea behind the way that the sun has changed is so we are not awakened. However, they being the light beings that are helping us to go to another new earth, have found ways around this. And this is one of the reasons that we are receiving the light codes that we are now, whether it's through the actual solar flares that are coming in because of coronal holes, whether it's because we are getting different sound waves that are coming in, whether it's because we are receiving additional light language, which is tonal, or if it's just yourself, because certain people who are awakening are able to channel that information and receive symbols and codes. So all of those are very, very valid, but that is one of the theories. Is that we are not truly seeing, that's one of the reasons the sun is so white. We are not truly seeing our real sun, that is actually being masked.
Yeah. So, I wanted to sort of comment on a couple of things here. So first of all, anybody who's been on the show knows that we talk about stuff that's controversial. So Angela, don't be afraid. We know it's out there. So please. That being said, science, okay, people at NASA, science have said that, for example, the moon is most likely hollow. Now, that sounds crazy, and some people, if we've been talking about this 30, 40 years ago, people would have just, okay, tinfoil hat. But there's a science behind it that the moon just should not be ringing like a bell. It should not be having certain aspects. The craters that are there are too shallow. I can go here all night. We're going to go off topic, but the point is that there's a lot of things that are not right with the moon. There are aspects of history that talk about a time when there was no moon. So if the moon itself if we're having issues with the moon, there's also the fact that there's stuff happening with the sun as well. And from what I understand, yes, the sun is probably not what it should be. I think that there's definitely, you cannot come on a show, people cannot come on a show like this and not expect that, look, we have been created, whether by the Anunnaki or whoever you want to call it, we were not just born like this. There's still a lot of problems missing with our DNA, like the connection of our DNA. And so we definitely have, a lot of manipulation that has happened. And, we can do a whole other show on how ancient history talks about different beings coming and going and all that, but this is not the show for tonight.
100%.
Yeah, but at the same time, and so there's a lot that's going on that's, it's not the first time that we have been manipulated, but it's also the first time we've been subjugated, in a sense that whoever's out there, we could be here all night, but it's about not wanting us to evolve and to grow. And I've said on the show many times that the so-called junk DNA is not junk DNA, and that there's stuff happening, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're putting a fake sun or whatever is going on, or using different types of, I don't know what, technology to stop humans from evolving. And the thing is that it's going to happen anyway. So too bad. And on top of it, one of the stories that has always captivated me, and I forget which astronaut it was, and I'd mentioned it a couple of shows ago, that one of the astronauts that was on one of the missions said that when he was out in space, he was doing a spacewalk, and he said he could see different geometric patterns when he had the sun on his visor. And he could see that, and he can actually feel it. And he said, I felt it. My eyes were kind of weird, and I could see these geometric patterns and codes. Now, this is a hard science astronaut in space trying to do his job, and he's seeing geometric codes. So, it doesn't matter how you slice it, there's something going on. And I think especially right now, we are at a crossroads where we're going to be getting this information. It's going to be out there. And so we're starting with you, but it's all out there. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is out there. Everything is out there if you look hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how people do try, how they, being social media, the government, etc., tries to hide things from us.
Yes.
But it's a hard, cold fact that there are so many people now waking up, finding out they have new gifts.
Yeah.
People who are coming out here, and I would imagine a majority of our audience are at different stages of their awakenings. And there are people all over the world, and they're wondering, what is going on? Why am I feeling like this? What is happening? If you delve enough, you can find a lot of those answers.
Yeah.
And we are only giving a tiny little piece of it at this point. But definitely the light codes are causing a major upgrade. Yeah. And every single time that we are outside, and this is one of the reasons that science has backed up, wear sunscreen, because they don't want us to actually absorb the light codes into our body.
No.
But a lot of people don't realize this. That is actually stopping us from the upgrades that we should have had. And people do not, until you start delving into it and unlearning everything you've been taught, they don't realize it. Just like eating certain types of foods helps for your body to actually generate better, and because we're light beings. If it's more of an alkaline based food process that you're eating, then basically you are going to be a healthier person, because we make our own electrical charges.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's another whole.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, and
all these beautiful offshoots.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's interesting because Look, we're proponing like, don't wear sunscreen if you have like light skin and you're redhead. Not. Obviously protect yourself. But then I have to ask myself, what happened 500 years ago?
Exactly
what happened in Europe, not even now, but
they stayed Europe, under the trees,
and people went out in the sun, people worked in the sun in Europe, and because I know that people of color don't have this. This is a whole other story, because people of color obviously have a natural filter. But for people in Europe who were working out in the sun and in the fields, right up until the 1950s or something like that, when a lot of these different changes were happening. What were they doing? Yes, I'm sure people got sunburned. Some people got sick. Absolutely. But for the majority, what happened? Like what? They didn't wear sunscreen. So what? I don't know. And
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
different methods.
Yeah. So before we go to the presentation, I just want to sort of read a couple of comments from people. I have here Karen Dixon. Says, love, 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 chakra, not chakra. So few people pronounce it these beautiful energy centers with this way. So loving this talk, my first time here. There she is. So she's loving this talk.
Well, we welcome you very much with open arms.
Thank you.
We hope you come back.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Karen, for being here with us. And Kelly says the same thing. She says here, I heard that there is a simulated sun in front of the real sun. That's kind of interesting. Did you want to?
Yes, I've actually heard that as well. One of the theories that goes along with them hiding the real sun is that they have some sort of a reflective surface with white light that is actually being shone down onto the earth. And I have actually seen that many times in different areas that I've read. One of the other things that people are not aware of is the different shades of light and how they affect you and affect your moods, etc. And that's one of the reasons they're using white light, and why they use the type of lighting that they do in offices, because it keeps us dulled.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's interesting? I was just thinking to myself when you said this, the sun, and there was a show that is on, Andy, what is it? It's on, I can't remember, on Disney Plus or whatever it is. And there was a show called Paradise. And Paradise is about this underground city, and they're sort of escaping a cataclysm. And what's interesting is that the way they make the show, you wouldn't know. Like at the beginning of the show, you just think it's a natural place to say, okay, this is somewhere else, so I'm not really sure, but you know what's happening, and you know this and that. So you're following the first or second episode, and by the third episode, I think about the main character looks up, and the camera goes all the way up, and it turns out that the sun is fake. Underground. This is basically now by the third episode or so, we realize that these people are living under a mountain. And under the mountain, they've set up this fake sun. And this fake sun is shining down. It's like this big, I don't know, like a motor, or like, it's like something like a jet propulsion or something.
Right.
This is really, and it's just it's a fake sun. And it's like, oh, okay, there you go.
Well, funny that you would mention that, because if you remember back a few years ago, well, several years ago now, there was a movie, and the name of it escapes me offhand, but it was, oh my goodness, he did The Mask, and his name just escaped me.
Eric Stoltz?
No, the Mask comedy.
What's this? Oh, the Truman Show, and
yes, the Truman Show.
Yeah, Jim Carrey
Situation. Yes, thank you. It was funny. I had his name and then it left, of course.
I think it was the mid-90s.
Same type of a principle behind it, where the whole world was fake. Yeah. And when you start looking at things along that line, you really start to wonder: are they trying to tell us something?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but it also. In cinema, I find that cinema is a certain kind of lens, because it does show you things. It does in many ways promote.
Does.
It shows you the bit of the future sometimes, depending on how you want to look at it,
Yes. Well, the artistic minds are extremely open, and that's one of the reasons that the intergalactic and extraterrestrial beings do tend to take on those people, because they have an open mind, and it's far more open than even ours happen to be. So when you start looking at those kind of factors, we really are getting the information before we even realize it. I mean, you can go back, George Orwell and a number of
H.G. Wells.
I can't think of, thank you. That's exactly who I was. See, telepathy works.
Exactly, it does.
But when you look at those types of people, they were getting the messages.
Exactly.
We just have to listen better.
Exactly. So we'll do a couple.
It wasn't as far-fetched as what it appears to be.
Exactly. We'll do a couple more comments, and then I guess we'll get started here. Okay. So I have here Linda Reinhardt. She says, "Hi all, I'm new to this channel, but I've learned a lot about the manipulation of our DNA and our ascension from people channeling the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, and the Galactic Council representatives." Did you want to give your point of view on that one, or?
Well, interestingly enough, I get channels from many different star races. My understanding is that I have lived many, many intergalactic as well as past lives as both galactic and Earth type situations. So I do have Pleiadians, Arcturians, Draconians, oh my goodness, Lemurians, Lyrans. They are all part of my history, as well as many others. Every once in a blue moon, I will get a channel. So the information that you're receiving with regard to, the DNA, etc., if that is who you happen to resonate with, that's wonderful. The other thing I will mention that a lot of people don't realize, and it is a newer theory that has been coming out, is because we are all light beings, and if you look at the true way of how we are supposed to have been created, we are all beings of the stars. So every single one of us, and not everybody will resonate with this, but I will put it out there because it is a theory. Every one of us has multiple galactic backgrounds. We may resonate with a specific galactic race more so than others, but every one of us has multiple galactic races within us in all likelihood.
But that's not far-fetched though, in many ways.
Well, I mean, when you start looking at it, I mean, there's all these different interraces that have actually also been together. Plus the stars, look at stardust. Where does stardust come from?
It comes from the stars.
It's not just from one place.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what, though? Here on Earth, when you do your DNA, and you do your DNA information like
Yes,
that
the
kind of stuff, you
testing.
will see things like, oh, well, you have 50% this and you have 20% that and you have 10% this, that, and the other. And so you're one person is like, yeah, but wait a minute, I'm black. How can I have all this other stuff? It's because you have a past, right? So that sort of fits into the same sort of category. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
Well, unfortunately, that I'm aware of, they haven't been, well, actually, I can't say that. I was going to say, unfortunately, they have not been able to figure out the galactic DNA, but that technically is not true.
Mm-hmm.
I've had channels that have confirmed that information. So whether people realize it or not, and I know it sounds like a theory, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not, when you are born and they test your blood, they know what your direct bloodlines are, whether you've got dragon bloodlines, whether or not you have the uh, the sacred sister bloodlines,
Mm-hmm.
the Sophia bloodlines, all of those types of things are within your blood, as are the markers for your galactics.
Oh.
And yeah, that it actually has happened. It's just not something that's well known. That's one of
Okay.
the reasons certain people seem to be targeted throughout their lifetime,
Okay.
because they realize, they being the government,
Mm-hmm.
realize that those individuals are the way showers and the light workers, and they try to make things as difficult as possible so that the messages don't get out.
Absolutely, and but also it also explains why certain people are often abducted. Certain bloodlines are abducted. So you'll
Absolutely.
have like, oh, okay,
Yes.
you have people say, oh, I thought it was just me and I was being abducted, and I found out my mother. Then oh, and then I found out my grandmother, and oh, I found out and so you have these people that have had generations of being abducted because they're a particular
Hmm.
bloodline. So they're definitely the galactics know because they can probably just see right through you. But yeah, the governments are trying to find these people because they're trying to use them for their own nefarious experiments and all
Absolutely.
that. So I mean, please,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
So
And
see how widespread we've already got
I
here,
know, I
and
know,
we haven't even hit the right topic yet.
I know.
But it is all information that people need to realize,
Absolutely. No, no,
because
no.
it shows you what an integral part it happens to be of your
Exactly.
life.
Absolutely. And I have an interesting comment here from an Eric Young. Eric says the more intense sun is explained and predicted perfectly in the Pleiadian Agenda book from 1995 by Barbara Hand Clow. I know of Barbara Hand Clow. She's very, very good, and she's done a lot of different topics. She's also a native shaman as well. She has a native shaman
Oh,
in her blood
beautiful.
as well. Yeah. So if you want to check her out, guys, check out Barbara Hand Clow, and she also is often on Gaia Network. But moving on, chapter 2 is all about the photon band and that the Earth would be entering, and so it seems that it seems that for some reason this is what's happening, and that people have been talking about it. And I know that Barbara Hand Clow's been around for a very long time, and she's been talking about this like since the early I think since like the mid 80s or something like that. She's been around. So when she talks about it, I kind of take that seriously. But it's true. We are all noticing it, and people are noticing it. And, going back to the whole idea of governments trying to sort of stop and coerce and everything. Again, they can try, and they're trying. You got to A for effort, guys. But it's
Yes.
not going to work. It's just going to bust through. Anyways, and let's see, what have we got? And oh yeah, and I have Linda Reinhardt. Just one last question. She says here, what is Angela's view on the great solar flare? Now, I think what she's referring to is the pulse or the solar flash. And Linda, if you want, go back into a couple of our Bass shows. We did a show a couple of months ago where it was Angela, Kevin, and myself, and we talked about the 3 days of darkness, which is not so much about darkness, but again, more about the sun. So you might want to check that out. But Angela, did you want to just sort of answer Linda's question on that?
Well, it depends on what part of it that Linda is looking for information on.
Okay.
I mean, there's two different schools of thought. One is that there is going to be a major solar flare that is going to decimate certain parts of Earth. But the other theory to that is that it is going to be a major awakening, and it is more of a metaphor than anything, where the light codes are going to come in, and it is going to be an awakening for a large number of people. So in a nutshell, that's the two different theories. I mean, certainly if it's something you want to have more info on, you're welcome to get a hold of me and get my information and we can chat about that one. I'm very open to that, but definitely take a look at the episode that we had because we go into that in much more detail.
Exactly. And yeah, so Linda, check that out. And I have Angela's information in the comments below. So please check out her site and contact her if you have any questions or if you want any services. Angela provides many services, and
Yes, I
she's
do.
great. And you can find out more about what she's doing. So shall we? I mean, we've been blabbing away.
Oh, that's okay. I know time
You
flies
know?
when you're having fun. That's
I know,
okay.
So, shall we look at our little presentation here, or how do you want to do this?
Absolutely, we can do that. So
Okay.
I'll just give a bit of a precursor. So light language has actually been around for more years than we could ever count. Light language is very much a telepathic and non-linear universal type of language. And the reason I'm talking about light language first is because many of the galactic races do not verbalize the way that we do. Everything is telepathic, and I've had many telepathic conversations. Anybody who happens to have their clairs on board, you understand what I'm talking about, where you know different things, you can sense that there are people that are there, you can sense when things are going to happen, etc. Many of the galactics do not require verbal, and they would be speaking a language that is so foreign to us that essentially we get it as telepathy. So light language very much operates as telepathic or tonal. Light language hits your soul. And as much as, and I was actually getting a light language channel, which I will relay a little bit later. What happens when we receive a light language is, and it sounds like garble to a lot of people, is our body will integrate that particular language in whatever way it is that our body needs to utilize it. So I can say that it means one specific thing, that it is the direct translation of it. However, that may not be how your body is going to take it. So and a lot of people don't have, when they receive light language, a lot of people, my understanding is that they never get the full translation of what it is. They just say whatever it is that comes out. And I will tell you right now, I've had several different light languages that have come through. When I ask, normally they will tell me what they are, but sometimes they are just very generic. Now, relevant to the light codes, light language contains light codes in it as well. So those codes that are coming through, again, are going to be utilized by whatever way it is that your body needs to integrate them. We are light beings at our core. And that is why each person, depending on what level you happen to be of your journey of awakening, will utilize that the way that you are meant to do it. Some people will have it happen fairly quickly. Some people will have it happen a little bit later on. And some people, I mean, if you are totally unawakened and you hear it, it may not affect you at all. But there are normally different levels of that awakening that as you start going through them, you will start to intuitively be guided to whatever mechanisms it is that you need to learn and you need to listen to and you need to know, and to the soul tribe that you are supposed to be around. Okay. And that is a hard, cold fact that people don't realize. So instead of going out and hunting for them, you don't have to do that. It does come to you, and it comes when you are ready. It's the same old adage. You can lead a horse to water, can't make it drink.
Yeah.
I could tell anybody that I wish all about all these wonderful things, but if you are not ready to absorb it and to understand it, it will be totally lost on you.
Okay.
So that is something that I really do need to stress. Now, with the light codes and light symbols, many times what will happen is, as people are in meditation, they will get geometric patterns, they will get lines and squiggles. People can do it in automatic writing, and I've had that happen as well. You can also get colors of light codes that come through. Being outside and literally just sitting in the sunlight or in an area of nature where you can connect is a fantastic way. And just sit with your eyes closed. observe what it is that comes in your third eye, in, when you have your eyes shut. And then if you want, just doodle away. You'd be amazed at the information that comes in. Light symbols, very, very similar. Sometimes they come through. A lot of people, if you're very artistic, and I've seen it more than a few times, you might be doodling away and all of a sudden you start seeing the same symbol come up over and over again. You may be the only one that understands that symbol or knows what that symbol means. Or you may be looking at something or listening to something that's got the light codes embedded in them, and it will resonate with you. Some of the ways that people realize that it's resonated is you could get body chills down you. You could get a tingling in your third eye. You might get a tingle in your crown chakra. You could get tingles up and down your arms. Usually, if you start noticing that there's certain repetitive things that happen in your body and you start recognizing these are triggers that you're noticing when you listen to certain types of music or that are coming through as certain truths are occurring that you are recognizing, chances are that's what you are recognizing as a pattern. Mm-hmm. So just it's as I said, it's a beginner's guide. So this is just a few of the different things that you can recognize.
Absolutely. And that makes a lot of sense. And I really feel that you are really speaking to a lot of people, because there are a lot of people, like you're saying, who are coming online and like, oh, this is kind of weird. I've been noticing this before. I didn't notice that before. And the tingling, especially in your scalp. I don't know if you get that, but I get a lot of tingling. And,
yes.
And it's just kind of very strange. It goes down in the back in your neck and everything.
That's what mine started as. Yeah. Now I get it down my arms and all of the hair on my arms stands up. Yeah. And it's usually within seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Just a quick note, Angela. Some people have said that they wanted to be able to contact you. Some people wanted to know I know you have the Facebook link. If people don't have Facebook, do you have a website link?
I do have an. I do. I actually have. It's my business page, but I have a readings and Reiki that I will make sure goes into the site.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, just let us know, and we'll put it in the chat. That's why, so people can have it.
I'll definitely give me 1 second.
Sure. So while
I don't even remember what it is off the top of my head. I have to send it to you.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, I'll just look at some of our little information here now. Linda Reinhardt, you made an interesting comment. You said, I heard that codes come in, but those who are not prepared have a tougher time. Well, kind of like what we're talking about, A lot of people are coming online for the first time. And so you are going to have some people that, have a hard time sort of breaking through. Everybody has like different layers. Some people have a few layers. Some people have a lot of layers, and so they have to sort of break through and get to that. But that we are all going to make it. I mean, there are some people who are obviously, led by some of the nefarious forces that are on this planet, because there are some nefarious forces on the planet that are trying to keep us down. And if you're obviously aligned with that, no, you're not going to obviously you're going to have a hard time getting through. But for everybody else, I think that, it's only you just sort of have to open it. And, for a lot of people, I have to say, I go through each and every email that I receive. And when I receive an email, I often see people saying, I'm not really sure why I'm here. And I'm coming here for the first time. And I feel like I'm opening up and everything. So it's very surprising to see how so many people are coming online and coming in and saying, I feel like I really want to be with a group of people. So you're all welcome. And I'm so happy that you're here, guys. I answer each and every one of your emails. All right. So Angela, did you manage to find that
I
info?
did. I sent it to you via text so that you've got it, because otherwise I will lose you somewhere in here if I try to open my email.
No worries.
I did send it to you.
No worries. So I'm going to get that information out to our moderator. But in the meantime, did you want to move on and see how the light codes and the human body and DNA activation works?
Definitely. We can go ahead and do that.
Sure. And if you want to, it's up to you. How do you want to do this?
Well, let's see. So, I did go into part of the information.
Okay.
Essentially what happens is, because we all have these latent DNAs within us, We have been told that we have 20, I believe it's 26 chromosomes. I mean, it's been a while since I've done my science background, but essentially there is actually more to it than that. So all of the junk DNA that is not junk DNA is still within us. It just needs to have the proper coding for things like I said, our intuitiveness, our telepathy, us to be able to decipher light codes, our different clairs to come on board. We all, and don't for a second ever let somebody tell you that you are not capable of this, because it has been proven. We all have these capabilities within us. It is just whether or not we choose to A, believe that they're there, and B, to utilize them. I mean, when mine first started coming online, I really questioned a lot of it. And I will be one of the first ones to say, I really wondered what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
And even now, I still have people that will say to me, oh, you're full of shit. You're this, you're that. And it's like, you know what? If you don't want to believe it, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Don't ever make fun of me or judge me because of it, though, because I will never do that to someone else. I have had so many things happen to me within the last 2 years that I would never in a million years have believed could go on, that I will never judge somebody. And I will not ever say to somebody, I do not believe what is happening or what you are telling me, because life is a learning experience. So what you are saying is your truth, and that is something that you believe, and it could be the way that you're being shown. And that is how I view my life as well. So when people start telling me and they start bad mouthing me about it, I know that they are not in my tribe. I know they do not belong within my energy field. And that is the other part of what this all helps with, is it strengthens our energy fields. It brings us to a higher vibration. The more awakened we are, the more that we keep on a high vibration, the more we help the whole collective in raising our vibration and raising ourselves to a new earth. So when all of us gather together, such as we are right now, we are actually in that whole, bringing the whole vibration up of the earth. And I don't know if people who are new understand that or not, but it is true. It's very true.
Absolutely. And, 1,000% on that one, because, it's, as much as we feel that things are changing, and they are, I mean, let's face it, things are really changing. There are still some people that are going to be stuck in the old paradigms. People are still going to be stuck in the 3D matrix. And I know that, one of the things that Bashar often, who's a channeler as well, Bashar talks about with Daryl Anka, he talks about how, there are people that are going to miss the train. There are two trains that are, side by side. And they seem to be the same, but then after a while they start to sort of separate and they go further and further away.
Yes.
And if you can have enough time to sort of jump on which train you want to be on, you can jump back and forth. But after a while, they start to go in opposite directions. And if you have decided that you want to go in one direction as opposed to another, that's your choice, because don't forget we all have free will. And there are some people who, and the whole judgment thing is about fear. It's about fear in themselves, and they are fearful because they see the change happening, but they think that, if I just sort of shut you up and I shut you down, then I don't have to face it. You know what I mean?
Yes. And a lot of it too is fear of the gifts.
Yes.
There are many, many people, and I did this myself. When I started becoming more intuitive, I used to do tarot readings when I was in my teens. I stopped it for a very, very long time. And then I picked it back up again I'd say about 10 years ago now, because I kept having these pushes that, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And it was my higher self pushing me. And I finally said, okay, you know what? I know I have these gifts. Go ahead. I'm open to it now. And once you open yourself to them, they do not turn off.
Yeah.
What happens though is if you keep denying them, they keep pushing at you until you decide to accept them. I'm actually a mentor for several people who are just developing early stages of their gifts.
Okay.
And I'm so happy that I can do that because I didn't have anybody to walk me through. I learned everything the hard way on my own, did my own research and, trial and error. But because of that, I do have a very good background in many, many different areas. And, when you start really questioning your own sanity and thinking, oh, I'm hearing voices, oh, I'm hearing this, I think I'm seeing things, chances are that's not necessarily the case. And until you find the right people who are understanding it, because let's face it, it's not like you can turn around and say just that to a lot of people. Once you start finding the right people that you can explain it to, it all starts to make a lot more sense.
Yeah. And you know what? Instead of paying for a therapist, pay Angela to guide you through. No, seriously. No. It's not funny. Seriously, pay for that, because I think that right now, and you said something about, you said, oh, well, what if you're seeing things? Well, you know what? I think some people are seeing things, and I'm going to explain why. Because the veil is becoming thinner.
It is very, very thin right now. You have no idea.
And so because the veil is getting thinner, you are going to see things, because you're seeing things at a different dimensional level. You're seeing things, and especially if you sort of quickly, you can sort of just see things right at the corner of your eye. I often see that. And I mean, yeah, we sometimes feel that we see things, but I'm saying, wait a minute, I'm really seeing something,
Yes, no, you are
100%
correct in that. And the veil is extremely thin right now.
Yeah.
The other thing people have to realize is we have more than one potential pathway in life that we are living right now. So when people are looking at manifesting, that life is always there. So you may be getting glimpses into another timeline that is happening parallel to what it is that's going on. Bashar talks about this. We've also had many timeline jumps. And in the last, I believe it was week and a half, we've had 2 timeline jumps that were quite significant. Again, the more that the vibration of the earth is raised, and the more that we are going within the new earth realm, the more we are having timeline jumps, because that many people are raising the vibration that the earth is physically jumping into that new patterning that it should be. So, I mean, I am very serious in saying, you may think that you're seeing things. I've seen ghosts and poltergeists and beings that have passed for many, many years. And I truly do believe in them. But I also, when I channel, I see messages, and remote viewing is the other thing I can do.
Yeah.
One of the few things. But what I see is it looks like pictures, and I can give people that information so it can verify what it is that I'm actually seeing. And it will always be something that resonates with you. So I don't make up any of this stuff.
No.
My life is too crazy to even think about.
Exactly.
I couldn't imagine some of these things if I wanted to.
Exactly. They're saying in cinema, they say, you can't make this up.
Exactly.
But you know what, though? For those of you, we have Angela coming back. I think it's late November, if I'm not mistaken, Angela. You're going to be doing about remote viewing. Yeah. So check out our schedule.
Yes.
But you know what? It's true, though. Just going back, just to sort of reiterate what I was saying, we are seeing things. And on top of it, as opposed to, let's say, I mean, yes and no, it's not true, because you often hear stories about people saying that they woke up in a different time, or they woke up and they went here, or they woke up and they're in the future, or they went somewhere else and things changed and then they went back again. So timelines have often sort of blend together and they come together. It also shows that time is really relative to what we're thinking, because time itself doesn't exist. It's something we created in a 3D matrix. But because that's been, let's say, 100, 200, 300 years ago, the density was so heavy, it was hard to sort of really sort of switch. I mean, even though it happened from time to time. But now the density is starting to rise, so it's very, very fluid.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is right now.
Yeah. That's what's happening. So just a couple of comments here from Linda Reinhardt again. We have, as a light worker, we are here to help people stay calm and adapt. And I think that relates back to what we're saying about how some people are coming on, and we're here to help them, because some people, like yourself, are helping to guide us through that. And so it is very important for all of us who can, like Angela, help others. Try to help people.
And yourself, Crystal.
Huh?
And yourself.
And myself, by creating this show. This show is a way for people to come on and to sort of explore that. So definitely through the show. I have here Susie Karasik. She says, I was at, I'm not sure, IANDS last week and seemed to have full body chills a large amount of the time. How wonderful. Shared energy. So yes, I mean, that's great,
fantastic.
you know? And so also, guys, I think Chris has put our moderator has put the Angela's email in the chat. So check that out and get in touch with Angela if you need any kind of like coaching and any kind of services. Please reach out to Angela, and she can help you.
I promise I will get back to you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, if you could sort of put that in the chat, please, that'd great. I saw your question there. And let's see what else we got. Yeah, so Eric Young is saying, the veil is thinning on a cycle is portrayed in the old cult classic Twin Peaks. People generally have no idea how deep that show goes. And that's true, because Twin Peaks, really, I have to say, that show was something else. That was I mean, there's also a little bit of gore and horror and all that kind of stuff, but that show was really quite advanced, ahead of its time. What do you think? Did you like Twin Peaks, Angela?
I did actually like Twin Peaks, and you're right. And as we were talking about before, many times the artistic people, directors, whether it be songwriters, whether it be someone who happens to just have an artist in general, have an open mind, they are the ones that the information comes to. And there are reasons for that. It's so that we can be enlightened without even realizing that's what's happening.
Yeah. And I have one last question before we continue. I have here from Linda. She says, Angela, were your life difficulties associated with dark forces? Interesting.
Well,
maybe not fully,
question.
I mean, I know if you're possessed, but like,
Well, the funny part is what I have found out is I am an ancestral curse breaker. So yes, there have been dark forces that have come into play, but in most part, it was because people were trying to hold me back from actually being a light worker, and they were trying to stifle my work. A lot of that has stopped now. And I've always just fought it. And I keep on getting beat down, and I keep on getting back up. Exactly. And I refuse to stay down. But that's what you will find with many, many, many light workers is we will go through very difficult times, like times that many people would have given up a long time ago. We don't stop. Yeah. But it becomes a way of life, and we become stronger and stronger. It builds a foundation. And one of the reasons for that is so that when people come to us who are learning and they have had different challenges, we can relate to them, and we can say, you know what, here's ways, and we can tell our own story, that here are ways that we can help people through things, or that you might be able to be helped to go through things. That is all part of it. And that is something that I have been told many times over by my guides, as well as by different channels that have come through.
Yeah. And you know what, at the risk of sounding like a complete weirdo, I feel that, yes, there are lessons that a lot of starseeds and light workers have to learn. But I'm also, and this goes back a little bit to what we were saying before about how the forces that be, the powers that be, put certain obstacles in the way of certain people in order to keep them down, because they're trying to change the energy. And also look what's happening on the planet. And I mean, look, we don't really talk about politics on the show. We really sort of try to stay clear of that. But when you see what's happening around the world, and the media being controlled, and the media trying to talk about, there's this thing in the UK about hoisting the colors, and there's these, right wing this and right wing that. Yeah, there's stuff like that. And, and there's stuff that happened in the United States and everything. Yeah, that is true. But don't forget that the media is controlled in order to bring the energy of the planet down. And when they do stuff 100%. Like that, that's what that is. And as starseeds and light workers, we have to see through the bullshit. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but we have to really cut through all that bullshit, because that's what it is. And don't allow that to bring you down. You turn that shit off and you're like, you know what? No, I'm going to just be positive, because that's what they want,
Well, the other part to that, Crystal, and you're absolutely right, is it is a distraction.
Yes.
Because we are all so busy watching what's
shiny
going on
object.
over here. we're not going to see what's going on over here. And that's what they're hoping for.
Exactly.
For anybody who decides that they're going to follow me, one of the things that you will find on my Facebook and Instagram is I very often will post things that are enlightening for other people. So things like, what will bring your energy up? Different little notifications saying, here are some different things that you can do to help yourself when you're going through your healing process. I just recently today posted one that was about, when people are going through healing, here are the different emotions, and the fact that many times, unfortunately, in this day and age, we have been taught to get rid of them. We'll take a pill and basically that's going to fix it. But that's not fixing the underlying emotion. No. That emotion is serving a specific purpose. We need to be able to figure out what that is, just let it be and move past it. So, I mean, that's all part of why these light codes are coming in. It is to help us to integrate what it is that we have and to learn that all of the things that we were taught and programmed to do are not what is necessary for us to live a happy life.
Absolutely.
Once you become happy with yourself, it opens your eyes to a true whole new way of being. And that's what these codes try to do, is they open within us the channels that we aren't even aware that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and on top of that, also, we are having to, and especially women, let's be honest, especially as women, but men too, but especially as women, we're learning to not go down that whole rabbit hole of like, well, you're not thin enough, you're not this, oh, okay, your hair, is it straight, is it curly, all that kind of stuff, that kind of nonsense. And we are learning to really, to quote Yoda, you must unlearn what you've learned, and sort of start again. And we are learning to really change our perception of many different things. And so people are really looking at themselves. And that's why the media is very dangerous, especially at this time, because they're trying to put down those clamps like they have for the longest time. And it's just people are like, no.
They're getting desperate.
They're getting desperate.
They are literally getting desperate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're pulling out all the stops and they're trying to put all this craziness. Now it's up to this, there's right-wing stuff everywhere and it's everywhere. And I mean, yes, there are. But you know what, though? I'm going to tell you something. I honestly believe that the powers that be get those groups to go out there. They pay these groups to go out there and to spread all this information and to spread all this hatred and to get at this darker side of humanity in order to bring the energy down. That's really what's happening. And I mean, I know some people might be like, okay, conspiracy theory. But you know what, though? They used to say that the media the media is controlled, that's conspiracy theory. And now we're finding out, no, it is really controlled. Like there's a lot of stuff that we think is crazy, but it's real. And
unfortunately, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what we are out here doing, is we spread the truth. That's one of the reasons that light workers in general are so targeted, because, and it's very interesting because many times, this is not the first time that I've been on the show, but many times when I've been on the show, we'll have either some kind of an error where you can't hear my voice, where you can't see what's going on. It's because the powers that are trying to stifle us keep on trying, and we keep coming back.
We keep coming back,
and we will.
Exactly.
And that's what we'll do, because that is who we are.
Exactly.
So, if you're somebody who's being challenged like that, please know you're not the only one, and it's just a matter of staying strong. That's what we do.
Exactly. So a couple more comments before we continue. I have Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. And Kelly Wacker, she says, when listening to certain binaural beats, I will astral travel through a light tunnel and see sacred geometry codes pass me by. And that's interesting because we talked about like the tones and codes. Did you want to just sort of go a little further into that for Kelly?
Well, binaural codes, any of the binaural beats, any of the solfeggios, I listen to them all the time. And you're absolutely correct. If you're somebody who's very lucky and is able to do the astral traveling, yes, you may notice that. People who are newer to it might not, but it all depends on what level of perception that you have. Now, question for you, Kelly. Have you ever, when you take notice of them, have you ever jotted them down? Or have you had impressions when you go past them? Have you noticed that they are giving you certain types of information when you are traveling through those? And have you noticed whether or not they're the same repetitive ones over and over again? Those are all very important things to do. And I know that you're a little more advanced, so you understand all of those, but they are all relevant, because many times, especially if we are doing the astral traveling, and I have been astral traveling as well, it is a whole different realm. And what people may not realize is there are theories as well that we are in a simulation here on Earth. When we astral travel, when we dream, that is our true life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I have an interesting question here, which actually it's bringing up a good question. I have a question here from Paul Berry. And Paul says, do light codes appear on crop circles? And now that's interesting, because there's a lot of geometric.
Many times they do. Not always, but many times they do. And unless you're somebody who follows crop circles, people probably don't even notice it. It is something that has come back. And if you look historically, it's not just in crop circles. If you look at some of the ancient symbols that have been around between the Mayans, the Incans, and the Aztecs, you will see there are a lot of similarities in those symbols as well. So, I mean, these are not things that are made up. A lot of these are coming, and the same thing with the Egyptians. If you look at, the Egyptian symbols and compare those to symbols in certain other ancient languages, you will see there are a lot of similarities. A lot of that is because they are coming from the same core languages, whether those languages were Arcturian, Pleiadian, Lyrian, Lemurian, Atlantean, etc. Again, it's light codes, and that is the whole crux of it. So to answer your question, short form, yes.
Okay, great. And one last little comment here from Bruce. Hi, Bruce. Bruce Cornett, he says, for me, Angela, I've been told about my many past lives on different planets and in different star systems. Like Susan Johnson, I have had many different bodies on different planets in one lifetime. Did you want to... That's interesting. He's saying, I have had many different bodies on different planets in one lifetime.
I totally can understand that, because as have I. And it is, people don't realize that your body and your soul can simultaneously sometimes have different lifetimes. I mean, that's a whole story and a whole other show into itself.
Exactly.
And if you don't have a chance, if you don't know who Bruce is, Bruce has been on our show as well, Bruce Cornett.
Yes.
And he has a fascinating story. He is also he's been on Kevin Estrella's Pyramids on Mars evening show, and I know he's going to be coming back, but it is something that is very possible. People don't realize, because unfortunately, most times what happens is when we have our past lives, especially galactic ones, they are kept hidden from us for different reasons. So pretty much every person has had a past life of some sort. You just may not remember what it is. And it's one of the things and it's interesting, it's a good segue. One of the things that the light codes do and the light languages do, and there are different ones you can pull up on YouTube as well that will awaken certain parts, is sometimes they will awaken past lives, or they are generated to awaken certain aspects of you. So it could be to increase your intuition. It could be to increase your telepathy. It could be to clear mother or father wounds. They can be targeted to help with certain things, as can solfeggios. But the past life portion of it, absolutely, people can have more than one past life within a lifetime.
Yeah. That's very interesting. And I have one last question here, because it's actually quite interesting. I have Eric Young. He says, Angela, have you ever been abducted? Do you feel you've ever been abducted?
Believe it or not, I did not for the longest time think that I was, and I have actually been abducted. Yes. And I have also and I know this to be true, I have galactic children somewhere, because I have had fetuses that totally disappeared. Oh. And this is the first time I am admitting this live, because it is something that I did not make the connection to until I started going back and thinking about a number of things. And it was after one of the shows that we had, and I was going through some information. So yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
I have
Wow.
been.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's very sensitive information, but thank you
Well, but it's
for
something
being
that many
honest.
people don't realize. And, as you're listening to light codes and as you're
Mm-hmm.
listening to some of what might come up a little bit later on in the show,
Mm-hmm.
if things happen to come up that spurn memories, and sometimes they're just little flashes, it could be something that's just a little flash in your memory.
Mm.
Don't second guess it, because that is when our ego starts coming in
Yeah.
and we start trying to overthink instead of taking it for what it is.
Yeah.
If you get those little flashes, there's a reason why.
Mm.
It's because it's something you are meant to remember at this point of time in your life.
Excellent. So we will continue with what we started here. We're looking at, I think we are looking at what does the light body activation do, but we went over it. I know that we talked about with the cosmic codes, the cosmic brilliance, that you'll be able to clear and heal maladaptive patterns, unprocessed emotions, and negative imprints that afflict you. Did you? I know we
Yes.
already talked a little bit more about it, but did you want to just sort of tie that up a bit, or?
Well, basically, with different light codes, whether they are written, whether they are something that you are visualizing in your mind's eye, whether they are something that you are looking at, and as I mentioned, YouTube is full of so much information now. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look up a specific topic that you are trying to find relevant to light codes and clearing, you will be able to find visual, auditory, um, solfeggios. You can find combinations of both, which can be very, very effective. Though I will say to some people, they can be a little distracting because while you're listening and watching at the same time, sometimes it just doesn't resonate with everyone. But when you start going into those, they do clear past blockages. They are meant to open and to provide you with the freedom and to reawaken what is dormant within you and to clear. That is part of what all of these light codes are doing, because we have so much historical, ancestral blockages that we carry forward. And this is something people don't realize as well. We carry forward our past life information and blockages. And many times, if you happen to look at your family lineage, you might find that, oh, there's been infidelity in the family back, 5 generations. And then it's happening again. Well, many times, if you turn around and you look at light language, you look at solfeggios, you look at light codes, if you delve into that a little further, you could very well be an ancestral, they say curse breaker, but it's generational breaker as well. But there are reasons, and that's why many times when we have past life information, we relive those lives in order to be able to make different choices in the future life so that we can change the outcome. And until we decide to learn the lesson properly, it will keep repeating.
Yeah.
I can tell you that 1,000%, because I have gone through several lives. I mean, I've seen myself in many, many past life situations already. And this is part of what these light codes do. So once you start understanding what they're there for and what it is, and you start realizing, hey, I've got these repetitive loops that I've been stuck in, you can start clearing those. It's just a matter of being aware that that's what it is. And there's a reason why now it is coming up.
Yeah.
And it will not come up until it's time for it to actually be cleared.
Absolutely. And you know what that reminded me? Just a little sort of a segue here. I remember watching, every once in a while I watch, little stuff here on YouTube, and they were doing this thing about the royal family in Britain. And they were talking about how, they were talking unfortunately about the whole marriage between Charles and Diana. And what was interesting is that Charles's, I think his grandfather, I think it was George V, I can't remember if it was, but he had had an affair with some actress, way back when. And it turns out that actress, if I'm not mistaken, was also the grandmother of Lady Diana. And I was like, oh,
that was first full circle. That's what
I was like,
happens.
oh, I can't, I don't have the names and everything right, but I remember watching and saying, oh, okay, you know, that really does go, what goes around comes around.
Yes,
It's
100% it
absolutely
does.
crazy, you know? I don't know
Yeah.
what the, I don't know. That was just nuts.
No, but it does happen. And that's the whole thing is until you start looking at, I've noticed this. And then you might be talking to somebody in your family and find out that, hey, this was going on and you
Yeah.
don't realize it. But once you start putting all of the little pieces
Mm-hmm.
together, it's
Mm-hmm.
truly, truly amazing
Absolutely.
what you can find out. And many times there are synchronicities within the past life information that when you start looking into it, and I know Bruce is well aware of this because of some of what he's found out,
Yeah.
that you can put those pieces together and you can figure out, oh, okay, now I know why I am who I am in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but again, the light codes, the light language, they are here to help us. They are here to strengthen our light bodies, which is what we are at core, and to help us to climb the vibrational channels or vibrational ladder so that we can get to what it is that we are supposed to be in this lifetime and to
Yeah.
help raise the vibration of the earth.
Absolutely. I have a couple of comments here from Susie Karasik. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She said, this is a very special show tonight. Aw, thank you. As always, I really appreciate all of you are sharing and I feel safer. Thank you, Crystal. And she should also say thank you, Angela, because
Oh, that's
Angela,
wonderful.
Angela, you and I are sort of like, I think we're sort of bouncing off each other. I feel so good
Yes,
tonight. I
absolutely.
feel so good tonight. I mean, I like doing the show every night, but like every other, every week. But I find that when you and I get together, just sort of like
Well, the
the energy's
energy is
there.
there. And it's funny, I can feel the group energy as
Yeah.
well because it's very warm.
It's
Thank you all.
very,
Very much appreciated.
yeah, very, very warm. And thank you, Susan. She also has another comment. She says here, can you say a bit more about the solfeggios as opposed to the binaural beats? Did you want to just sort of clarify that
Well,
there?
I mean, there's really not a whole lot of difference between the two of them. So this binaural beats is just another type of auditory that you would be listening to, where the solfeggios are usually a specific tone that is continued all the way through whatever it is that's being broadcast. But what they do is solfeggios, there are certain frequencies, and you can look this up. I have some of them offhand, but different frequencies heal different areas
Yeah.
of the body, the mind, the spirit, the soul, etc. So some of the common ones are 528 hertz, 432 hertz. I mean, you can literally Google it and it will give you a list of here are different frequencies to look at. There are all sorts of them available on YouTube that you can pull up. I can tell you right now, one of my favorites to listen to, there's two that help a lot, and they help with all different areas of life. If you like meditation ones, Jason Stevenson is fantastic. He's got some great ones out there. And Brian Scott, it's Brian Scott, has some wonderful ones out there. They are two of my favorite people that I listen to their different frequencies. But you can go, there's the Sound Healers. That is a site on YouTube. And these are free. You don't have to pay for any of these. They're free. I listen to them pretty much every single night. And I listen to different frequencies depending on what it is that I want to have. You can have everything from clearing past wounds, clearing blockages, clearing monetary blocks, opening your third eye, clearing your chakras, opening your chakras, literally anything under the sun. In fact, healing, body healing. And I do know for a fact that they work because several of the ones that I have used have really helped me within a very short period of time. A lot of them come with affirmations that are embedded within them. And that is a big part of it as well. Because if you are listening to it, your subconscious always maintains that information where consciously we may be putting our hand out, where if you're listening to it, especially if you happen to be in that alpha theta state just before you're drifting off and you've got that playing in the background, it's your body that's doing all of the work. And it is the one that is actually listening to the information as it's coming through. So, take a look at it. I don't know if that answered your question because you didn't say in what regard you wanted the comparison, but I mean, binaural beats, similar type of thing. It's just a repetitive pattern that happens to hit your subconscious and helps to enact whatever changes it is that you're looking for.
Okay, great. And I have a couple more comments here. I have Susan Johnson saying, to add to what we're talking about, she says, also the light language is a native tongue of the alien races. A person is a hybrid like herself. So she talks a lot about being a hybrid.
We did actually touch on that at the very beginning of the show. You might not have caught that.
Yeah. So, and then also Susie Karasik is also going to be coming on the show. She just reminded me. She's coming on the show October 18th to talk about near-death experiences. So that should be kind of interesting.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I've had one of those too.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades here.
Jack of all trades, yeah. I remember at one point I did a show and somebody said she's a Jackie of all trades. So, if you want to be...
there you go. That's one way of putting it. Absolutely.
Exactly. So let's sort of move on to our next topic here. And I know that we touched upon it at the beginning of the show. And we talked about how, especially for yourself, you're starting to receive different light codes or languages from different races. Did you want to sort of go through? We'll talk on our next slide about the different races and the different light codes and frequencies there.
Well, I mean, I can tell you some of the ones, and I did mention them because they are the ones that I'm very familiar with. Because when I get channels of light language, I have to ask them where it's coming from. I don't always know. I do know that I have been to several light language workshops and conferences online. I mean, I've heard them come through from the Blue Avians, which sound more, they're very, very high frequency. They're actually extremely hard to hear. Sometimes they come through and they sound, because they're Blue Avians, it sounds more bird-like. So you may hear twitters. Sometimes they're very high pitched, where they're more like a sing-song type language. I find those are usually the Fae. Sometimes I'm hearing that that can be Arcturian, but it all depends on what the galactic race is. Sometimes, and I've had them, because when they come through very often, I will try and remember to record them for myself so that I know that I've had them. Many times they'll come through and I don't know what the light language is. Sometimes they come through with an accent. Sometimes they come through and they sound like they're garbled. Either way, whatever it is that's coming through, and this is something people don't realize. There's two parts to this. First of all, every one of us has our own light language embedded within our body. We can hear it and understand it when we speak it. So if for some reason and I'm not talking about like a baby speaking garble, I'm talking about if you at some point are led to literally sit and just start speaking in a tongue, I highly, highly encourage you to record it, because when you listen back to it, it's always better for us to listen to our voice, because we will be impacted then by what it is that we are speaking. We will be able to absorb whatever it is that we are supposed to, as we mentioned early on in the beginning of this. The other thing that I will mention is every person, because we are light beings, has the capability of speaking light language. It's just whether or not, and I belong to a couple of groups where we practice speaking light language, as well as doing, what do they call it? Automatic writing. But basically, we all have that capability because we are light beings. And you may be able, without realizing it, to channel different light languages from different species. Arcturian, Pleiadian, Lyran, Atlantean, Lemurian are some of the most common ones. They are very, very prevalent right now. They are also the ones that have been helping us and giving us a lot of additional light codes, because they are trying to help us as a society on Earth, particularly the ones who are awakened, because it is all part of our lineage. But that doesn't mean to say that you're not going to get light language from other areas. It could be Syrian, it could be Orion, it could be some of the lesser known. I mean, you have to realize there are as many races on Earth that, you know, people can look at. There are far more than that galactically. Look at how many stars we have.
Yeah.
So potentially every race, and not to mention all of the multidimensionals and all of the ones that we can't see that are present in other realms, and as well as the different galaxies. We don't know how many there are. That's one of the reasons that they speak telepathically to us, because there are so many languages out there. You know, yes, we have how many languages just here on Earth. It's much easier for them to speak telepathically to us than it is for us to try and speak verbally to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons they utilize light language, because it is simply their way of, and encodes, because what we have dormant within us recognizes them, whether we want to admit it or not. We do. They're ancient. They're embedded within us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, it's kind of like being here on the planet, like you said. And, you know, you have a lot of people that speak English, but they speak a different kind of tonal English, or they speak, well, people speak French, you know, like we do here in Quebec. You know, you have a French from France, you have a French from Quebec, you have a French from Martinique, you have a French from Haiti. And everybody has a different kind of accent, and it's also the accent, and also little mini dialects and all that kind of stuff. That sort of. So what I mean, yeah, it's better if we just have sort of like one, you know, as in Star Trek, you know, like sort of a universal communicator. But
yes,
we're starting to get there, though. We're getting there almost. Like, you know, you're able to sort of have like an earpiece, and then everybody can just sort of understand one another.
That's right. Well, and we have Google Translate.
Or Google Translate, exactly. So we're there, you know. I had some interesting comments here from Linda Reinhardt. She looked up some of the hertzes. So she says here 639 hertz fosters connection, relationships, and harmony. 741 hertz awakens intuition, clears toxins, and 852 hertz spiritual order, and a return to source. So that's kind of nice, you know, like
no, absolutely. And as I mentioned before, on my Facebook very often, and it is something I have posted before, is just it was a list of the different hertz. But I mean, literally, you can go online to YouTube, and you can even just Google it in general, and you can find out there are different, and there are combinations of them as well. There are several that I listen to that are a combination of 432, 528, and I can't recall what the other one is. But I mean, I've even seen some that were 1111 that are the hertz that you're listening to.
I've seen that too.
The one thing I will suggest, though, is if you're going to listen to them, don't do it just once. Yes, sometimes once will work, but do it more than once, because you will find that as you do it on a regular basis, it does make a difference.
Absolutely.
And it really does help to clear. Sometimes, depending on how deep whatever the wounding is or the issues are that we have, you may have to do it several times.
Exactly.
But, you know, like anything, the more that you practice it, the more success you're going to have. Same thing happens with our telepathy and with our light language. I mean, I do not speak light language every single day, but I can tell you when I get channels of it, I can't stop it.
Okay.
Because it just keeps rotating in my head until I either write it down or speak it.
Okay. Wow.
So that's just how prevalent it happens to be now.
Yeah. And you know, it's like anything else. It's sort of like what I was saying before. Sometimes you have many, many layers. And so you have to sort of break through those layers in order for things to sort of get in there. And so if you only do it once, you may not, you just sort of like get one little layer and that's it. You're not really sort of getting deep down.
Exactly.
You know
it's like an onion. You need to peel the layers.
Yeah. You need to sort of go through the layers. And once you do that, so if you do it like, you know, 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, you'll start to feel something. Because maybe the first time you won't feel something, but like, you know, I don't know, I don't feel anything. Yeah, but it's because you haven't. And also another thing that I think we need to also touch upon is that you have to understand that the powers that be try to keep us busy and occupied and in a constant state of movement and flux and distraction and stress and all that kind of stuff. But you know what that is because if you're calm and quiet, you start to hear all those messages from the galaxy. And when you're always like on your phone and you're doom scrolling and you're like, you're busy and you're running around and the flashy objects here and there, you don't get the messages. So if you want to sort of beat the powers that be, the archons, you want to beat those powers that be at their own game, you have to shut it all out and be quiet. Yes. And it's when you're quiet, then when you play that solfeggio tone or, you know, the hertz and all that kind of stuff, you will actually feel it because you're not going to have all the crazy and all the distractions stopping, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, that is something similar to what I posted back, I don't know, probably a week or two ago on my site about all the different distractions that we have that are keeping us from actually concentrating. I mean, and unfortunately, social media, our phones, our computers, we have been so programmed to look at those things instead of sit and read a book or just go out in nature, or, you know, the ones that are starting to wake up are more attuned to it now. Yeah. But we don't realize how much we distract ourselves from real life, because what we've been programmed, that is not real life.
No.
Those are distractions to keep us at a low vibration level.
Exactly.
It's and like that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of like the sun, you know, it's sort of like, it's like fake. And all that, and it's sort of, you know, it's a distraction. And also, one thing that I also wanted, and I might want to get your opinion on this one, is that I'm definitely looking into investing in some of those EMF protection type of, like, you know, clips for my phone and just sort of like stuff for my bed and for, you know, everything, because I think that also we're getting so much of all this EMF completely screwing with our antennae.
Yes,
natural,
100%.
You know, that is hard for us to get through. Did you want to comment on
before you go out and spend a whole bunch of money on EMF protectors, take a look at crystals.
Okay.
Because kyanite, in fact, I have a piece of kyanite right here, is very effective for that.
You want to show us that? You want to show us the kyanite? Do you have that there?
Give me 1 second. I'll actually read it to you about one of the things that it's good for. Okay. But there are many crystals out there that actually are just as effective, and they're a whole lot cheaper.
Okay. So while you're doing that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So while she's doing that, I think that you really need to have a very, very calm space. While you're meditating, be in a calm space. Also, if you're, you know, for example, when you shower and all that kind of stuff, you use some like essential oils like lavender and different types of oils to cleanse your body. You're also cleansing your body of all the stored up distortions and all those kind of frequencies in your body. So, and also if you can, be in nature, do a lot of grounding, put your feet on the ground.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I mean? Put your feet on the ground.
Now, I thought it was the kyanite one, but there's a couple of other ones. But I'll read this one just so that you got it, because this is actually for, it's for cleansing the aura, which is very important. So this is what my kyanite, I don't know if there we go. So this is what kyanite looks like. They also call it a witch's brew, believe it or not. This is black kyanite.
Okay.
And this one in particular, but most of the black stones are good for removal. Okay. And it just depends on which one it is. I should know most of these off by heart. But so this is protection and cleansing. It rapidly removes and doesn't hold negative energy. So it never requires cleansing. Okay. So you can actually keep this around your other stones as well. And anytime that you're out and about and you have other people around, this is great for it. Okay. But some of the things that it does is it induces deep meditations, it opens your third eye, enhances your telepathy, identifies karmic debt, cleanses your aura, aligns your chakras, accesses between life states, connects to spirit guides. So now you know one of the reasons I have it. But I also keep it next to my bed because I was also told that it helps with all of the EMFs, etc. Okay. Many of the black stones also will do that. Okay. And I should know off the top of my head because I have tons of crystals, but I know there are some other specific ones that are directly relevant to the EMF, and I keep them right by my bedside all the time.
Okay, great. So that's excellent. So that and so is that a volcanic stone? Is that volcanic or?
You know what? I can't remember exactly what this one is because, and I did know at one point I had looked it up. My brain's not into the crystals right now, but normally I do know my crystals.
No worries.
And I've got lots of them sitting right here.
Okay, perfect. And so I do have a couple of comments here that I wanted to get into, for some people here, I have, let's see now what we got. So Kelly is saying from 4 to 7 hertz to astral travel or theta waves to remote view or delta waves for astral travel. So that's interesting because I know that the Schumann resonance of the planet is 7.83 or something like that. The of the planet Earth, if I'm not mistaken, 7.83 hertz.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it's 7.82 or 7.83, something like that.
Yeah. And so that's kind of interesting. And, and it's funny, but I remember seeing actually again on YouTube, they had a way of recording the sound of, because each planet gives off a certain sound.
Yes,
and
it does.
The planet Earth sounds like birds chirping. How beautiful is that?
I will tell you something very interesting, and you can find this online. The pyramids give off sounds as well. And a gentleman by the name of Campbell Foster, who I know Kevin knows very well, created something called the Pyramidion. And I have the recordings that Campbell had at the Great Pyramids that he recorded. And they are amazing, absolutely amazing for doing meditations. And every single time that I have a chance to listen to those, I always get major channels and downloads, and lots of things that have been absolutely crazy have happened with it.
Okay.
So, and I know that he does have his things. Campbell Foster does have his Pyramidion recordings available, and they sound like chimes to a very large degree, and they're actually taken from the pyramids. Yeah, there's a whole story involved with it. But it's phenomenal.
Okay, we need to do a show on that one as well,
Yes. Well, I mean, hey, if he's available, he would be an amazing person to interview.
Okay.
He really would. Kevin can tell you all about him.
Sure. His name again, just for our audience?
Campbell, Campbell, Foster, Foster.
Okay.
And he is actually one of the people in my friend group.
Okay, great. Okay, well, you have to bring him on the show, Angela.
Well, I can definitely look into doing that, because I know I'm not sure if he's Toronto or if he's in Hamilton, but he has recently done some more different things, and he does a lot of things to do with sound. It is absolutely phenomenal. Kevin actually introduced me to his music, and I have been so fortunate to be able to have that music.
Okay, great. That's excellent. And so I have here, I have some conversations going on between some members, and they say here that somebody had asked about shungite. I know that shungite is a very interesting stone.
Yes, shungite is one of the ones
Kelly
as well.
Wacker says that shungite neutralizes EMFs, but it's mostly carbon and not a crystal. Yeah.
Right. But again, there are several that if you look up for EMF protection for crystals, you can find it. I mean, I've got so many books on crystals, it's unbelievable.
Okay, perfect.
Because I use crystals for healing all the time.
Okay.
That's another thing that I do is crystal healing.
Okay. Is there anything you don't do? You're so perfect. You're so perfect.
These things just come up.
I know. So I have here... So Susie Karasik said, and I understand, she says here, chimes seem more pleasant than binaural beats. And, I guess it depends on the person, because some people have chimes and it helps, and other people, everybody's different, right? Not everybody's going to...
Absolutely.
Everybody is tomato,
And I can honestly say, I mean, when I've done presentations, I have used different solfeggios. One of the ones I use is for chakra clearing. And I mean, obviously there are different tones that clear different chakras. One of the ones that I really like, it's very short. It clears all 7 chakras at the same time. When I played it at one of the conferences that I was doing, I had someone come up to me afterwards and said they could not handle it at all. So, I mean, it's all personal preference, but you can find, and this is why I mentioned several different places that you can listen to. Just listen to several different ones. If you start listening to the different solfeggios and frequencies that are out there, you will find some. I mean, personally, if I'm trying to go to sleep, I don't want something that dings halfway through, because then it kind of wakes me back up again.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's all sorts of different ones. Some of them sound more like the ocean, but it still has the underlying tones in it. It all depends on your personal preference. So, don't give up hope. I've been listening to them for years now, and I find them very, very helpful. If you look, you'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. You just sort of have to sort of keep shopping around, and then you'll find something, not a problem.
Absolutely.
But on that topic of healing, though, and I know that
Yes.
for people who are interested in getting Reiki, and Reiki, like you said, your Reiki healing
Yes.
can be done at a distance. And,
Absolutely, it can.
reminded of the experiment, the double slit experiment that was done by
Yes.
scientists. And they're talking about how they could have two particles very, 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 very far apart. And yet, if you stimulate one, the other one is stimulated at the exact same time. So that
Yes.
shows how we are all interconnected. There's like, a sense of
We are.
interconnected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, And so speaking of Reiki, I know that speaking of symbols, because, Reiki definitely deals with symbols. Can you tell us a little bit more about Reiki and light codes and healing?
Well, personally, and I have to preface this because unless you are somebody who does Reiki, you really are not supposed to know what the Reiki codes are.
No.
Because they are not something, that's very true.
Yeah.
Unless you are a Reiki practitioner, you are not supposed to give out, or a student, you are not supposed to give out the codes because they are sacred codes. We go through an awakening by our Reiki masters to progress to each level. Because I'm a level 2, I am not supposed to know what the codes are for level 3. Just so that you're aware of that. People don't
just more
that.
to talk about it, like in terms of how, maybe not the codes themselves, but more about how,
how they affect the healing,
tones, can affect healing. Maybe we can sort of go into that instead. Sorry.
And no, that's quite all right. But I just wanted people to realize that because yes, they are ancient codes. Every Reiki practitioner, depending on what type of Reiki you are taking, there are codes that differ within each practice. The codes are very ancient, and they have been practiced by the lineages that you have followed down through. Now, the other thing that I'll mention is when Reiki practitioners, and very often we will chant or we will meditate. We will have crystals around. It all depends on your own personal preference of how you do your Reiki practice. We invoke those codes when we are doing our healing on you because they are meant very specifically for targeting either different areas, for different clearings, for bringing in the energy in general. And anybody who obviously knows about Reiki, I'm giving sort of the layman's version of it because we don't need to go into great detail, but they are there for those purposes. And obviously they have been learned by the Reiki masters that precede us, and they're ancient. They've been there. Many of the codes that we use and the symbols that we use are combinations, and if you look at them, they are very similar to a lot of ancient light codes as well. So, I mean, one of the ones that I know we had up on a slide looks like a spiral that goes around and around and around. Well, a spiral in general, that is a concentration. So when you start looking at pulling in that energy, what happens with the spiral in general, and it's something that is in many different cultures, and people don't, unless you know a lot about cultures, you may not recognize that, that it's pinpointing so that it is becoming more concentrated. So if we are trying to do something very specific, that is where it concentrates in. But it's also in many of the Celtic, Viking, if you start looking at the different light codes, you will find they could be in runes, they could be in all different cultures. So they are universal. And that is the whole idea. They are universal codes, as are Reiki codes. Yes, there are different dialects for Reiki, if you want to call them that. But ultimately, we all practice the same thing. We are utilizing the energy and the light that is within all of us. And we all have that same capability. I mean, I can guarantee anybody who has been a mom, one of the first things, if a kid has hurt themselves, a mom goes up, she puts her hand on whatever it is. We have energy within our hands.
Okay.
You can activate your energy yourself by clapping your hands together, rubbing them together, and then holding them like this and play with the energy that is between your hands. It's a practice that's age old. We all have the energy. It's just a matter of whether or not we decide we want to utilize it. It's light energy and healing energy that we're all capable of having.
Yeah.
Most people just don't use it.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is that you're talking about the runes and like also a lot of the Celtic designs, and we have to understand that the Celtic peoples and different peoples, in ancient times, they were much more closer to these types of healing energies than we are today.
Absolutely, they were.
And so they would
Absolutely.
have drawn something either through shamanic visualization or
Yes.
through any other sort of like meditation. They would have drawn what they saw, and they would have seen the spirals. They would have seen the different types of
Absolutely.
the codes and the different,
Well, and the spirals also relate in many cultures, especially in New Mexico, to the portals.
portals.
And
Exactly.
that is something that we relate to as well, very, very much, because we realize those portals are energy.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, that is how we galactically get back and forth. I mean, there are many, many portals that exist all over the world. And it's just a matter of how well versed you are in that information.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the Anasazi and all that, they talk about these different portals and they draw it on the different glyphs that they have.
One of the things that I posted, in fact, not too long ago, was the locations of, I believe it was 12 portals throughout the world that exist. I mean, it doesn't give the exact coordinates, obviously, but it does give the major cities that they are located in. And I mean, I hate to say it, but people don't realize you also have portals in different places that you are now. Mirrors can act as portals.
Exactly.
Your computer and your phone, by nature of what they are, can act as portals. Entryways within your home and areas in your home. Again, it's something that I've posted.
Exactly.
So there's all this other information. Like, we don't realize we are sitting on so much that is there. It's just a matter of, if you happen to look into it and you happen to have the information come forward. That's why we're truth seekers. That's why we're light workers. We reveal the information that exists that people don't know about.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is that we look back on our past and we say, oh, those are sort of ancient, sort of like, old wives' tales and all that kind of stuff. And you look back and you're like, well, you know what? They actually they actually knew what they were doing. For example, you have old habits of people, like when somebody dies, they put, dark cloths over the mirror. And because black absorbs, as we were talking about the stone. And
absolutely.
so it stops, things from coming through the mirrors, which act as portals. But, if you talked about this 20, 30 years ago, it's just some sort of stupid,
it's a superstition
and all that. But we're talking about portals. We're talking about black cloths absorbing. And there you go,
Yeah, well, it's like the old wives' tales where, people were accused of being witches, where really and truly most of those people were healers.
Yes.
They knew about the old ways. They were either passed down through people, or they were learned shamanically, or people who channeled, and they had more knowledge, and people were afraid of them because knowledge can equate to fear when people don't understand it. And when you're challenging something like the pharmaceutical system,
there you go.
Of course they're going to say they're going to lose money. Why would they not challenge it?
No.
It's like, oh no, you're full of baloney. That doesn't work. Meanwhile, and again, something that I posted on my site, it said, before we had dentists, we used cloves. There's all these natural remedies that work, that still work. But we've gotten so accustomed to running to the drugstore and using all these different things
that don't work,
we need to go
and
back
cause
to the natural way.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, exactly. Or they cause all these side effects that are very, very detrimental to our health. But see, that way they keep us in this loop of, well, we have to fix this.
Exactly.
We have to fix that.
Exactly.
Get down to the root problem of it, and you won't have to do that.
And it also dulls our senses as well, especially if you're taking all these sort of like, like we were talking before about, like, antidepressants and all that dulls your senses.
Absolutely, it
completely,
does. Yep.
Yeah. And so it's just sort of
sunlight.
Interesting. Sunlight.
Best antidepressant going is sunlight.
Sunlight. And, vitamin D. Vitamin D, Very, very important. And you know what's interesting
Yes.
that I've been learning is that, for example, and this is a totally sort of off the cuff here, but for example, people are saying, well, how come diabetes and all that kind of stuff is so prevalent in the Black community? And what's happening is that Black people have a natural filter of vitamin D. And living
Hmm.
in a northern climate, there's not enough sun. And so
Right.
one thing that they notice is that people who have diabetes have low vitamin D. And who else would have low vitamin D but people of color? So, you know,
Of course.
but you here we are sort of getting all these sort of like all these pharmaceuticals and everything, up your vitamin D. And now look, I'm not a
Yep,
doctor, I'm not a
absolutely.
doctor, but it's true. Up your vitamin D, up your magnesium, and you'll be
Yes.
surprised what your body can do. It can naturally heal itself. That's all
Yes,
I'm
it
saying.
can.
You know?
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So getting back to, I think I have some couple of comments here. I have here Eric Young. He says, I've tested shungite EMF nullification on my own expensive EMF meter, and it actually works. And yeah, I've heard that. I
Yes.
think shungite is really,
Yep.
really
So have
very
I.
powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have here Susie Karasik. She says, I volunteer with Neil Gore, Portal to Ascension. I think many of you
Oh,
might like
lovely.
to explore his offerings. Well, yes, Susie,
That would be
Susie,
wonderful.
if you can get him on, no problem. Please do. So, reach out to me later and we can talk about that. That would
Or
be
if you could
great.
maybe put the link, if there's a link directly
Yeah.
to join in, if you could put the link in there, because I can't see any of the links right now. I'll see them
Yeah.
afterwards on the replay, but that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Or
So,
get in touch with me. Email me.
yeah. So, Susie, you can either email Angela. Email Angela, definitely. But also for the rest of our viewers, if you could sort of give us the link to that, that would be great. Okay, so the pièce de
Thank you.
résistance, we are going to be moving on to, we started talking about it before, but we are going to be moving on to I think our next slide, our last slide here, about the sun's solar flares and how they're carriers of spiritual information. And I think this is really the crux of what we're talking about tonight.
Absolutely.
So did you
Absolutely.
want to,
They are.
and let's sort of back up a bit, because this summer has been absolutely off
It has.
the charts. Let's start with
and
that,
it's not
please.
finished yet.
Okay.
So for those of our viewers who have not been following the Schumann resonance and the solar flares, there have been a number of coronal holes on the sun that have been turning and facing the earth. And what happens is generally after that, when we have the solar flares that erupt on the sun, they make their way, the energy eventually makes its way to earth. All of those solar flares that are affecting us and causing the aurora borealises to come up, they've been changing, our light structures here. They all carry light codes. And what happens with those light codes is they are extremely important for us. Now, granted, you don't have to be outside to be able to have them. However, if you do go outside, and I've been outside as often as I can this summer, not to mention just for grounding purposes, but the light codes can reach you much easier through the sunshine. So if you happen to be outside, if you happen to be traveling around, they do make a marked difference. The solar flares in general, though, this year have had many other effects on the earth. If you have been following the news, and I will be honest, I try very hard to stay off of social media, but I do have a few different places that I follow info. If you've been looking at the volcanic activity, those have been caused directly relative to the solar flares and the different activity and in the geomagnetic sphere. So there's somebody called Stefan Byrne. He is a scientist, but he also goes into a lot of detail with regard to the Schumann resonance, to the geomagnetics, all of those types of things. And he ties everything together. He is phenomenal to listen to. There are several other people as well that you can pull up. But I mean, personally, I just like the way that he ties everything in, and he very much is awakened, and he understands a lot of the different things. Once you start understanding all of the correlations that are happening, it really starts to make a lot more sense. So every time that our Schumann resonances are high, and you start to see these great big white spikes of energy that are coming in, you may end up with different symptoms. One of the people that I really like to watch, her name is Consciously Erin. She uses the Tom's graph, and she also utilizes the Cumana graph, that is the Italian one. And she will show the graph in behind her, and she'll show where the different spikes are. And then she goes into detail with regard to how you could be feeling different symptoms. So for instance, Susie, one of the things that you were mentioning was about third eye and having, crown chakra aching. You might have a headache. Many times that is because it is your third eye or your crown chakra that is being affected by the Schumann resonance and by the light codes that are coming in from the solar flares. If you are having difficulties, as I mentioned before, with your throat, you might have a scratchy throat, you might have a sore throat, you might have your shoulders and upper area here that are actually aching. That could be your throat chakra that is being affected by it. So when you look at the actual Schumann resonance and you see there are the different bars that are coming across, there are 7 of them, as there are 7 chakras. So when you happen to correlate the very top one being your your crown chakra and going down all the way to the root, when you have something that is full body activation, it takes a while for your body to integrate those codes. You could end up with a great big spur of energy. You could end up being somebody who gets very, very tired from them. You might be somebody that, especially if you have a lot of release energy, if it's affecting your heart chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, it might be something that you feel extremely emotional. It just depends what it is that your body is needing to utilize and how your body needs to actually raise its vibration to meet the energy that has just come in for you to be able to utilize it properly and to integrate it into your body. So the Schumann and the solar flares have been extremely potent this year. And I don't know if any of you follow the Schumann, but if you happen to look up what it's been in the last few days, there has been within the last week another coronal coronal hole that has faced, coronal mass ejection, but it's also been, we've had those recently, which means it usually takes 2 or 3 days for it to reach Earth and hit us, but it also depends on the solar winds. The other part to this is that our geomagnetic field surrounding Earth has been compromised to a degree because of other things that have been happening and our ozone, etc. So a lot of that all comes together, and it means that these flares are hitting us a lot harder than what they normally could. Okay. It's not a bad thing. It's causing awakenings within people, and that is part of what these light codes are doing, and that's part of their whole purpose. Right now is the time where this is going to happen. Okay. And it's not a bad thing. It is to awaken Earth so that we can have a new Earth.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in that slide we have here scientists that have been, new scientific research was published to demonstrate that the resonance can actually fluctuate and in many cases influence human biology. And cellular electric activity in the brain function, and overall health. And so this has been, and I mean, look, it definitely has affected certain people. And I know that my eyesight was really like twinging for a while there.
Yes,
I was just like,
absolutely.
I woke up one day and I was like on my computer. I'm like, I can't see. And like, trying to typing. And it's just horrible. And it was around the same time when we were having a lot of massive solar flares. It was just absolutely horrible. And now I'm just kind of like, okay, a few things are starting to calm down because it's starting to get, the weather's changing and the sun is not as high as it was before. And now my eyesight is, kind of like, phew, it's back together. But for a while there, I was really feeling it, especially when I was paying more attention to it, because sometimes you don't pay attention, but when you're looking, you're like, oh my God, this summer was crazy. you know.
Well, it's not finished yet.
Yeah.
And we also have eclipse season coming in, which is
Yeah.
also going to be extremely
Wow.
potent as well. And I do
Wow.
follow all of these things,
Yeah, me
so it's
too.
kind of one of those little geeky things that I do.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've started following more so,
Mm-hmm.
and it does make a difference
Mm-hmm.
within your body. So if you happen to notice that you're having, you're more lethargic, or you have more energy, or you
Yeah.
have different aches and pains, don't put it down to the fact that, oh, hey, maybe, I mean, yes, if you went and partied the night before or whatever, it could be
Yeah, no,
that.
for sure.
But, whether it's nausea, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
headache, whether it's third eye, take a look at some of these things that we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about,
Mm-hmm.
because they really, truly do affect how your body handles that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start to understand it more so, it really does put things into perspective. And it also
Absolutely.
helps you to understand what you can do to help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because rather than hiding from it or taking a pill to fix it, that's not what you need. It could be that you've got stuck energy and you need to get out and walk, or move your body, dance, do yoga, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
It could be something that you just need to hydrate more. And I will say, every time we have these solar flares,
Yeah.
you need to hydrate.
Hydrate.
Every time you start going through
Yeah.
these transitions
Mm-hmm.
and the upgrades within
Yeah.
your body, I mean, and some of them can happen very, very quickly. I had one literally over the weekend that it happened literally overnight, and took me quite by surprise. I've gotten somewhat used to it. I don't know if you really ever get used to it.
Yeah.
I never know what new gifts are going to be popping up. But hydrate, ground, get outside in nature, ground. If you're not somebody, and we've done different shows on this, that does any kind of grounding exercises, look them up. Go hug a tree. I know it sounds really bizarre, but trees carry energy. Trees are very healing. Those types of things, as crazy as they might sound, work, because you are connecting to Mother Earth. You can reconnect and recenter yourself. And if you become very emotional, please don't just hide those things. You need to acknowledge those emotions. They're coming up for a reason.
Yeah.
There's things that need to be purged. I mean, I literally just posted something on my page earlier today. And I've got 2 sites. I've got 2 pages.
Okay.
I posted on both, as well as a few other sites, because to me, it's valuable information that people who are going through awakenings need to know, especially those who are in the very beginning stages of the awakenings. And I mean, hey, I'm a lifetime learner, and I always will be.
Yeah, we all are.
There's information that even I look at and I go, oh, okay, this is something I wasn't aware of. But if I can help one person and I can pass on that information to somebody, then that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely.
That's why I do what I do. And I'm at the point where it doesn't matter if I resonate with everybody.
Yeah.
That's not what my goal is.
Yeah.
If I can help one person and resonate with them and give them guidance, that is what I'm here for.
Absolutely. And amen to that one. And one of the things that I know that you pointed out that is very important is hydrate. People,
yes,
whether you're doing any kind of spiritual work or any kind of healing, or if you go for a Reiki session with Angela, or do any kind of work with Angela, or anybody for that matter, you have to hydrate. And especially now as the frequencies are getting higher. And a big part of it also, you might be feeling lethargic because you aren't hydrating, because there's so much energy coming into the body that you need to just hydrate. Because also hydrating, just to sort of explain it a bit more, hydrating helps the energy to flow through the body, because the body is made up of a lot of water. So when you have a lot more water, it just helps to facilitate a lot of the energy that's going through. If it's too dense, right? If it's too 3D and it's too dense, nothing gets through. So people drink a lot of water. That's one. And then 2, I also wanted to sort of point out something. It's funny was that my cat is here, and she's sort of just, I think
that's funny. I had one beating on my door a few minutes ago.
Yeah. But I think that animals are really picking up on this as well. Did you
They are.
I forgot we didn't make a slide about that, but I was thinking, wait a minute, our little furry friends, they're feeling it too. No? Do you want to comment on that?
Absolutely. Yes, I will. They absolutely do feel it. And they pick up, because animals are far more intuitive than we ever have been. they do pick up all of those changes. So if you happen to notice changes where, your animals might be kind of going a little bit crazy here and there, or they might be really lethargic, or they happen to come up to you and they're just rubbing up against you more so, and they want your attention. Excuse me very much. Or they happen to be coming to you because they know that you're agitated and you're in an emotional state. It's because they pick up on those things. They are, believe it or not, animals are telepathic as well.
Yeah, they are.
And they do try to communicate with us the best way that they know possible, which is to come around by us and to make themselves known. But they're also extremely calming for us. And they do help to lower, our low, they heighten our low vibration so that we can come back to a normal state or a higher vibration state.
Yeah.
And it's something that they pick up on these solar flares. I mean, I don't know if anybody here has ever noticed in and around, and because we are, we have so much water within our body, follow the moon cycles. The moon and the oceans and the tides are affected by the moons. So are our bodies. If you ever pay attention to your animals in and around the new moon and the full moon, you will notice differences.
Yeah.
Because they know that. I mean, they have been around as old as time in their lineages as well. So you'll notice those different things going on too.
Yeah.
And it is very important to keep hydrated. If you can, if you're somebody who knows all about the alkaline diets, have alkaline water, because alkaline water is so much better for you than just regular tap water.
Yeah.
Because we are light bodies, it helps to charge our light structure.
Yeah. It's also better for your digestion too. It's all people don't realize.
Absolutely,
It's better for your digestion, and it's also better for your blood sugar and everything. And it integrates into your body a lot better than the regular water.
Definitely.
So, so if you can do, not everybody can have like alkaline water, but if you can get it, please do.
Even if it's just, a couple of times in a week or whatever.
Yeah.
But you will notice the difference when you have it.
Absolutely.
It gives you a much clearer head, and it really does help.
Okay, exactly. Well, you know what? I think we've been around the sun, no pun intended. But but I think we've really sort of how we've really explored a lot tonight. And you know what, I feel that tonight we looked at the codes and all that, but I feel that we are looking more into the future, because so much of what we're talking about tonight is affecting us. It was affecting us this summer for sure. Like you said, it's not over, because especially with the eclipses, but we are definitely seeing echoes of the future and what we can expect. And look, for what it's worth, I follow a lot of different astrologers, and they're saying that these eclipses are really going to bring a lot of big changes to the planet.
Absolutely, they are. And we have to realize this year alone, we have had so many planetary alignments and things that have not happened for many, many years. Some of them have been 30 years. Some of them have been literally hundreds of years since we've had planetary alignments where they are now. And it's all happening for a reason. It is to push the earth and the beings here that are meant to be in the new earth into a new dynamic and a new dimension. And it's nothing to be afraid of. It is going to happen whether we like it or not. It just depends on what part of the train we decide that we're going to be on.
Exactly.
Whether we're on train A or train B.
Exactly.
Everybody will make their own choices. It's something that you have full reign over that. But I will tell you, the more that you decide, if you have gifts that you don't want to acknowledge them, they're going to still be sticking around. If you decide that you want to explore them more, it's something that you have to be ready for. You're only going to get what you can handle. Yeah. And there are always any of the people that are out here within our audience, for sure, this is always a safe space for you. And it always will be. And that's one of the things that I love about it, because I have only been out here for a couple of years, but it is something that I call home. And I really
Absolutely.
appreciate you, Crystal, for being able to host this,
Oh,
and for all of the people that are founding members that have
yeah,
gotten me in here, because I didn't even know that places like this existed. And I'm
absolutely.
so happy that I found it, because I thrive from being here, and I have grown in leaps and bounds as well.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, Angela, I've grown leaps and bounds just being here with you and listening to
Oh,
you.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
I have a comment here from Susie, and I think her comment pretty much reflects what I'm feeling, what a lot of people are feeling. Susie Krasik says, "It has been a phenomenal show. So much shared information. Thank you to all." And yes, Angela, thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love you.
Oh, you are very,
Hearts, hearts,
very welcome.
hearts. You know?
Yes, definitely. I have one last thing though,
Sure.
because when we first were starting, I was getting a light language channel.
Yeah.
Now, I cannot tell you what the translation to this is yet, because it hasn't come through. I don't think it's completely finished,
Okay.
but I will speak it
Okay.
so that everybody here can hear it. It will resonate with some. I can't tell you, like I said, where the origin is, but it was coming through very, very clearly as we were just initially starting to talk. So it is something that is meant to be spoken here. You will have it as you are supposed to, and some may be affected by it, some may not, but
Can I just ring a tone a bit just to sort of clear
oh,
the energy?
absolutely, please
And
do, to
just sort
clear
of,
us.
those three tones, and then we'll
Yes,
allow you to
definitely. I
channel.
always appreciate that. In fact, it's something that I want to purchase, is I need to
Yeah,
get a bowl. Someplace I've got chimes. I'm not sure where I've got them right
yeah.
now.
Okay, so here we go, everybody. We're going to get a channeled message. So after the third tone, I will allow Anja to send in the message.
Thank you, Crystal. Aki to soli, aki ta to sole. Akahai so vimaha, atiaha ni kionte. The translation is, as we come together, we strengthen, and this is being channeled live, just so you know, this is what's coming through. As we come together, we strengthen our community, we strengthen our lives, we unveil what is hidden, and we are where we are meant to be. You are all brothers and sisters, although you may not come from the same race. However, we are all one, as we are all connected. Thank you for being here. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Thank you for raising the collective and the vibration of the earth, of the galaxy, and of each other. And I don't know if anybody else can feel it, but I am getting chills. I can feel the energy that is circulating
Absolutely.
between us. So thank you all. That is, and I don't know. Okay, I'm getting, it's multidimensional.
Okay.
So it is coming through from several of the galactic races.
Okay.
As I said, it will resonate, but that a lot of times they don't tell me what the translation is, but that translation is very appropriate, I believe,
I think
for
so.
our show today.
Exactly. And to just close out, I will do a couple more tones, three more tones, and we will close out the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela, for being here with us tonight. I really, really appreciate it. And it's amazing to have you here with us. And it is absolutely amazing to have you on the show because you always bring such beautiful energy with you. And it's just amazing what we've been able to accomplish tonight. You are actually absolutely amazing. And I want to say thank you again for the channeled message.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you. I think
you're very welcome. It's been my absolute pleasure. I look forward to coming back, and I'm actually looking very much forward to seeing what kind of emails I receive from people. I do promise that I will get back to everyone, and I can certainly address anything in the emails going back and forth with regard to questions that you might have.
Perfect.
So, I mean, there's so much information that I have to share. We have to do it in small segments.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be here for the next couple of days and nights.
I know. That would be great. We have like a telethon, but
there we go.
I just want
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please check out Angela's website and send her an email if you have any questions. She's going to be there to answer anything that you have. And she'll be back again later this fall to talk about remote viewing, so you don't want to miss that. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here tonight. Let me know if you have any questions, and reach out to Angela if you have any questions. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a beautiful night, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Love.
Thank you, Crystal.
It's a beautiful show. Thank you.
Yes, very, very beautiful.
Yeah.